That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Dragon, we're here to do a spoiler cast for The Boys. That's right, folks. It's the compelling story behind Richard and Robert Sherman. And let me tell you, folks, this documentary, it's got so many twists and turns for it. There's a reason why we're doing it as a spoiler cast. Isn't that right, Dragon?
How true, yes, yes we are. I mean, I know we've talked about it before, but you know what? Gosh darn it, warrants talking about it again. We did a commentary of it before, now we're doing the full kind of
The full
spoiler
deep
cast
dive
on it.
spoiler cast on The Boys, the Richard and Robert Sherman documentary.
So I really think what Robert was getting at with his paintings were anyway.
All right, no, in all seriousness, folks, we're here to talk about the Amazon Prime original series, The Boys. The Boys, season one.
Yeah.
Not Dooley's Boys.
No, not Dooley's boys, but I'm hoping one of these days we'll see that reunion.
Oh man. Anyways. All right, so Dragon, just to get my thesis statement out there for the season, I think it's good. I think there's definitely some really strong performances in here. Stylistically, it's pretty on point. It's a pretty original take on the superhero genre. I will say that, and of course we do know that we're getting into season two and all that. So that's, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there's a lot of stuff left in the air at the end of the season. I mean, a lot of dangling plot threads. Like this very much does not feel like a complete story, and I don't know if that bothers me more than I think it should. And but other than that, I very much enjoyed it. This series is definitely a rollicking good time. It's kind of like it's got this weird sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy meets Suicide Squad meets Watchmen kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite put Guardians in there, but yeah, I do hear it. I hear that, yeah.
So, what's your take?
Put it simply, for me, comparison is this is Preacher meets Watchmen. That's pretty much the boys in a nutshell for me. It's for me the most cynical superhero series I've ever seen. That's not a negative, just it's definitely like the most cynical take on superheroes I've seen. Definitely realized in live action. It's very well executed. The initially I thought it Initially, it's so funny to get. Initially, I thought this wasn't for everyone, but everyone seems to really like it. So it really just kind of you think you know how something's going to play, and you should complete 180. Because people are swarming to this thing like crazy. People in a million years never thought were going to watch this have. It's again, it's kind of hitting the stratosphere so much so it's getting a season two. Like this is the ticks. This is the tension the ticks should have gotten, but it went to the boys apparently.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Donovan Martin in the chat says this is basically humorous satire, Zack Snyder type DCU, as well as the same time appreciating it. So basically, what he's saying is it's kind of like a loving homage to the DCU Zack Snyder verse, but it's taking jabs at that kind of stuff, that dark and gritty aesthetic, but still kind of paying homage to it at the same point. And I agree.
Yeah, it's a more self-aware version of what Snyder would basically be kind of criticized or characterized with, many a time of like, the like Batman driving through people, but let's show how ridiculous that is.
Batman getting raped in prison.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
All right. So background dragon.
Yeah, so just in case anyone's wondering what the heck the boys is, just as like a premise, because it seems I
Besides the
imagine
Richard and Robert Sherman documentary.
yes. Besides that, so Garth Ennis, comic writer Garth Ennis, he did a book essentially designed to out Preacher at the time because he basically Preacher had come out and that was kind of Garth Ennis's opus for the most part. Garth Ennis is kind of known for his take on the Punisher. Basically, on the Marvel side of things, he's known for basically making the Punisher good again. Because for a while, Punisher did like all sorts of weird things in the comics, and they kind of brought him back, just kind of like the vigilante. That basically what we see in the Netflix show. That's pretty much what
Mm-hmm.
Garth Ennis did with the Punisher for the most part. And see,
Kind of
Garth
like
Ennis
focusing more on the war side of him.
Exactly. Like, yeah, and that's the thing. So Garth Ennis, for example, he's not really big. Like, he doesn't see superheroes optimistically, as you can probably gauge from this series, and that's kind of why he would gravitate more towards vigilantes like the Punisher in the comics and such. And he's done other stories that are like kind of like more kind of anti-establishment kind of superhero stuff, like The Pro, which is basically about what if a prostitute became a superhero. You know, this that kind of stuff. It's kind of Garth Ennis in a nutshell. And anyway, so again, you do Preacher, which is big and very irreverent and very game changing. Of course, now we have a series of it. And this is way back in '06. He's kind of doing the next kind of game changing kind of like, oh, I can't believe they got away with that comic. So so much so after it came out, after the series kind of ran its course, it was optioned for a film. Initially, it was optioned as a film, and they almost got of all people Adam McKay to direct it. Of course, Adam McKay,
Oh
a very
man.
great director, Adam McKay. Almost got him to direct it. That fell through over time. Eventually, I presume, I can't really verify this, I presume after the success of Preacher on AMC, they kind of reignite the fire on this. And they're like, hey, what other Garth Ennis stuff can we do? I mean, that's popular on that network. Let's do our own series, but let's base on another Garth Ennis property. Hey, let's do The Boys. So eventually it ends up on Amazon. I imagine Netflix would kind of fuel the competition of like, hey, like we're doing all these, they're doing all those superhero series on, all the MCU series on Netflix. Let's compete with that, which kind of brings it to Netflix, and especially after I presume after the Tick, they really kind of okay, well we kind of time tested it with the Tick, we dipped a toe in it, and kind of more optimistic kind of self-referential side of things. Let's skew a little negative with it. Let's do The Boys. And even before the series was fully released, like the day of or like the day before, they greenlit season two.
Yeah, they had a lot of confidence in this thing from the marketing department from the get go, for sure.
Marketing was everywhere on this. It was definitely
Uh-huh.
better advertised than the Tick. The Tick got a little bit of advertising, but this was
Ah,
everywhere.
man.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. That to me is the tragedy. Because let me say this as kind of in kind of a little clip, a little add on to my thesis, because this is my thing going forward with The Boys as well. So The Boys, I think, is a great series, but I do my biggest fear with The Boys, knowing what it was, and my fear being like, oh, people are going to watch this and it's going to be like the Tick, where people won't be blindsided by what they expect. They're expecting maybe like a Netflix Marvel series, and they're going to get something fairly different. And
Right.
that's the thing. I was
Right.
wondering what the reaction is going to be on that, and I do fear that people might have more of a skewed version of superheroes if this is like one of their first things that they check out. Then they're going to be like, yeah, and they're going to raise all these big ethical questions whenever they're watching anything. Like if they watch Daredevil, it's like, oh no, something like that's going to happen.
Yeah, I hear you.
Maybe not Daredevil, not the best example. You know what I mean? Just kind of the grander sense. Like someone watching The Flash now they might have a different, especially if they're watching The Flash, they're going to have a different context on what could go wrong on that show.
Oh dear. I don't even want to know, Dragon. I
I just mean with
really
a,
don't.
I just
I
mean with a
really
speed.
don't.
I just mean with a speedster character. Imagine. All right.
Okay, so yeah, let's dive right into it. Let's get into episode one. Episode one is called The Name of the Game.
Yes, basically we're gonna go through the highlights of each episode here, folks. So starting with episode one. So this episode essentially is all fun fact. All the episode titles are chapters from the book.
Oh, nice, nice.
They don't. Some of them adapted more than others. Like this first one, pretty much an adaptation of the first book, as you'd imagine. But some are just kind of taking the title and then shifting a lot of events around. Basically, the broad story is being adapted, but they're changing a number of things. And I think smart adaptations, if it's just me. But bear in mind, I haven't really read the book. I
That
just
was
kind of got.
Walking Dead back in the good days, Dragon, before Walking Dead took crazy pills.
Oh yeah. Bear in mind, folks. I've read the summaries of the boys in the comic. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, so it's so I can't speak with autonomy over the subject. Anyway, so episode one is kind of the introduction to the Seven and the Butcher via
Pretty good
Starlight.
director in Dan Trachtenberg, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of done via Starlight and Huey's kind of like visiting our two sides of the story here. All right, let's start.
Okay, so yeah, obviously the place to start is the big sort of like shocking, like, we've seen Walter White in his underwear in the RV. We've seen Matthew Fox rescue a whole plane load of people from a plane crash on the beach. Dragon, these are some of the most memorable opening moments in all of TV. And this one is right up there with it, with the death of Robin, just to get things off like right away.
Yeah, this for me was the absolute sell of the show. This is where they had me. I went into this completely clean again. I had not known anything about the books. I just knew it was Garth Ennis, so I kind of knew somewhat of what to expect, especially after watching like what a Garth Ennis work looks like adapted in Preacher. So I had like a vague idea of what to expect. When this happened, it's like, okay, I have no idea what to expect. But still, this even so, it's just the shocking moment. This like this the core of the story, the core of the whole series is this moment. A Train runs through Huey's girlfriend Robin. It's the sell of the show, sell the premise. It's basically the carelessness and self-absorbed heroes corrupted by their power, which it basically leads to a perverted status quo where heroes are a commodity. You know, heroes are a commodity, and they're very reckless, and basically collateral damage is very real and all over the place. I think we kind of like we pick apart things and we kind of turn things into big snidery debates these days about like, well, if a hero really did that, then this would happen. This show knows this, and it's like, well, yes, we're going to explore exactly what that means.
Exactly. This is the show for all those nerds who nitpicked about Man of Steel, me being one of them.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like certain arguments be made sometimes, but now it's like everything's like everyone's trying to like Avengers, the first Avengers movie, the Chitauri are making a mess, and of course we have shows like Daredevil, like, well, yeah, and that's how the Kingpin rose to power, that's what we're doing. Anywho, but that's the thing. But seriously, like this this burned me with the revenge. I identified so much with Huey and the fact that like, man, A Train is he's such a prick with what happens after this. Like, I want him to get revenge on A Train because you so much empathize with one of our leads here, right?
Yeah, Huey Campbell is definitely a very, very empathetic lead character. I like that he's very effective as kind of like our surrogate into this world. You know what I mean? He's like kind of like the surrogate audience member who's being drawn into this world through a very relatable event.
Something I caught on the rewatch is so of course the scene that precedes the A Train moment is basically we see some average heroics of like, okay, Homelander and Queen Maeve. Homelander and Queen Maeve. They basically they're stopping, doing some classic heroic stuff. We have a big misdirect there. Where, they're stopping a robbery, and we see like these two boys. They're talking about superheroes and everything.
Ooh, are these the boys, Dragon?
Yeah, a part of me wonders if maybe that's kind of the gag, where these two boys kind of talking about everything, and maybe it's a bit of like a show called The Boys, and we see two other boys. Like, missed a little bit of a lot of misdirect in the opening there. You think you know what the show's going to be like, kids reacting to just actual heroics that kind of skew more towards they kill people. Where and we transition from the end of that scene where everything seems hunky dory to Huey watching these events play out on television. So Huey, again, we're watching these on a screen like we, the audience, are. So that's really interesting. And from Huey's perspective, and of course, he gets a rude awakening when a superhero just runs through his girlfriend. Again, it's like speedsters, how it works, but it's just that one thing of like it's just the most casual death you've ever seen, but it's so horrifying and like she's atomized right before your eyes, so graphically and horribly.
And of course, it sets the stage for what the violence looks like through the rest of the series.
And then things get even worse, and this is where they really suck you in here, where we have the kind of the logistics of the aftermath, where Vought, for example, Vought offers $45,000 for his pain and suffering and his discretion. And here's the thing that burns me up the most. This is where I really wanted to head out for A Train. Like, oh, A Train, you monster. Or she was standing in the middle of the street. That's the cover story. She was standing.
Yeah. And it's like she like had 1 foot off the side of the curb.
Mm-hmm. They claim she was in the middle of the street. A Train looks very non-apologetic at all during the interview. He's like, "Oh, you don't even care, dude." And of course, we have the later scene where he overhears A Train just like he's kind of laughing it off with a buddy. It's like, "Oh my god, A Train, I want you crippled so badly right now."
Yeah, that just kind of gets to the root of like the attitudes that the supers have in this show, which is just like they are so numb to the collateral damage that they just kind of like joke about it.
Absolutely. Also, a little fun fact. So we did also meet Huey's dad, played by the wonderful Simon Pegg. Now,
Simon Pegg.
You can't quite peg it anyway. So Simon Pegg, he in the comic, Huey is modeled after Simon Pegg, and of course this was years ago, so they couldn't quite get Simon Pegg as the young, intrepid youth of wee Huey, but they kind of had a little nod to him there. But let's have him play Huey's father. That was a nice little. It's a beautiful little nod they gave there, and he's a pleasant character too. I like Huey's dad.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of screen time, but he has some very poignant scenes and really ties into the humanity of his character of Huey.
Yeah. All right,
All
so
right,
let's shift things around. Let's talk about our other kind of co-lead or kind of co POV character. Let's talk about Starlight.
Starlight. Yeah, she is definitely a very, very good arc throughout this. I've heard that her arc is very watered down from the comic, and I'm like, oh my god! Like from what I hear of what she goes through in the comics, frankly, I'm glad they watered it down.
Well, basically, the main alteration from the comic is that what happens to her in this show was more on Homelander than it was the Deep, and I'm sure given what I'm sure what happens later with all the Homelander stuff, they didn't want to overcrowd it, so they kind of hoisted some of that onto the Deep.
And of course, the stuff with the Deep does give us another really memorable character arc through the season, so that was a nice call on their end. All right. Anyways, I love the idea of this kind of like bright-eyed, literally up and comer who's who's just very much the optimist. It does kind of ground the show in a sense of realism, where it's just like, yeah, of course the people who have been doing this for years are going to be hardened by it, and then the people who it's their dream to be an actual superhero and they have the means to do it, they just don't have the connections to pull it off. It's it definitely shows like two different sides of the world building here with her character.
Absolutely. She's played by, we have a few Netflix. One of the reasons I was name dropping a little bit of Netflix earlier on is the fact that we do have a lot of Jessica Jones talent in this show.
Oh my god, yes we do. Yes, one
We
stuck out like a sore thumb.
yep. Oh, here we have, so Erin Moriarty is Hope Schlottman from Jessica Jones. So that's Starlight.
Okay, okay.
And a far better
Nice.
performance, at least a far better character
Way
work.
better. I didn't even recognize her.
And look, nothing fully, like, Hope Schlottman was okay, but at times she could be a little bit much. The other character we're going to get to, however, she was not good at all, but thankfully better here. Yeah, comparatively better here.
I mean,
Anywho, but
comparatively, but still, I don't. The
what I'm saying
actress
is
just has
it's a
the
small
actress
role.
has a very unlikable face, Dragon. I don't know what it is about it. Do
That's
you
a horrible way
agree?
to put that.
Do you not agree though?
I mean, look, I wouldn't phrase it
Her
like that.
face is very unlikable, Dragon.
God.
Anyways,
Thank goodness you're not that girl's agent.
oh god.
Like, anyway, no. Seriously about Starlight though? Starlight, yeah. Here's the thing: if you really look at it, too, is like Starlight. She's picked because one, she's we have the cute up and comer, and importantly, she fits the lamplighter gimmick, someone with a light gimmick.
Sure, sure.
All the reasons she's picked, and she very quickly learns about the unromanticized. Basically, her dreams are unromanticized in the literal sense by her childhood crush, the Deep.
Oh
Basically, kind of
boy.
our Aquaman fill in here, and basically, it's like, what if Aquaman thought he was important before Jason Momoa came around? It's like that's kind of what we're working with here with the Deep. He's just this.
Dragon, I'm not going to say that the Deep was my favorite character because, of course, that would be giving my favorite character to kind of a monster. But I will say that he was maybe my favorite character arc.
Oh yeah,
I mean, his character arc throughout the season is the only thing I found disappointing, Dragon, and I'm really hoping we get this in season 2. The Deep needs to go to Cedar Point, Dragon. There needs to be some sort of Cedar Point storyline. They teased it too. They teased it.
they did. They did.
As soon as I heard Sandusky, Dragon, as soon as I heard Sandusky.
Well, remember he was going somewhere, and we definitely set that up. So well, more on that later. We'll get there. We'll get there. Regardless,
Cedar Point surrounded by a lake.
that is true. That is true.
Anyways.
Anyway, so point being, I feel the Deep kind of has an inferiority complex. Kind of the classic old Aquaman jokes, where he has an inferiority complex, which leads to kind of his cruel proposition
But
to.
he also has an inferiority complex in terms of his sexuality, which, as we learn, is very, very complex and anormal.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though. I feel that he's trying to he's compensating for a lot of things, and how he's just kind of cruelly he's trying to he's trying to kind of hoist himself up in terms of his power and his status on the team to a newcomer, and that's why he's going to go in the full. No, I can't. I was going to make a comparison that's in bad taste. I'm not going to do that. He's going to make he's basically going.
Good boy.
He's basically going full on Grata here to the Starlight here. Basically, he's just basically, as Donovan has kind of said in the comments here, but definitely there was a Me Too theme to the season. I feel we
Oh
tackle
yeah,
that
for sure.
with the Starlight story. And we do it in a smart way too. We don't just like throw it around. I think we do it with an actual point. So that's good. Basically,
Well,
we're gonna
it's a deserved arc. It's not just a like, okay, and now we're gonna talk about this. You know what I mean?
yeah, like we're not doing an issue just for the sake of that. It fits into both the deep story as well as her story. So it's there. It's showing the systematic flaws within the Vought and the Seven and all that sort of stuff. Again, it's about power, and of course that also plays into sexual stuff too, power and sex. The old adage.
And of course, power is in superpowers as well.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly.
Several meanings.
So of course, in episode one, the big question. I wonder if I want to get your take on this. So the question is like, how bad are the bunch? Because at first I'm thinking Homelander was legit. He was the best of the bunch, and like of course we have this big moment where he poses to the group. Of course, we were very wrong about this. At least I was. Where you're thinking like, okay, guys,
Sure,
enough.
you just liked him because he wore a Captain America-esque costume. Admit it. Admit it.
Look, American flags not make a Captain America, okay?
It was very deceptive, though. It very much throws you off his scent at the beginning.
He's more like the love child of Chris Pine and Superman, if you really want to look.
Oh, he totally is.
Regardless, but seriously, Anthony Starr, all seriousness, Anthony Starr, he's the best actor in the series. I think he's so wonderful.
Yeah, I would say I would still give it to Carl Urban.
Okay, fair point. He and Carl Urban are wonderful in this show. That's what I'm getting at. We have a lot of good actors in this show. I think Anthony Starr does something special too. Regardless,
he is.
Like as translucent, I love the mundanities and like the business side of the superhero. That's like that to me is like just the biggest one of the big sells of it too. Where like translucent is selfish with his merchandise and like his movies being bootlegged and he's really upset about that. And Homelander's going on about like guys, and don't talk like this, guys. I want to know who you saved today. And it's like okay. Is Homelander like?
Oh my god!
That's like maybe a few of them
were such a good misdirect.
Maybe a few of them were pricks, but maybe the rest of them, like if I don't know Queen at this point, I'm thinking Queen Maeve's on the level as we kind of learn she deep down is. I think some of them. Which question? How rotten is the bunch? Where we have translucent naked in the bathroom watching the girls. It's this kind of thing. But bear in mind, here's the thing: like he's naked in the bathroom because that's how his power works. Though, like they didn't come up with like the Fantastic Four memory, kind of memory suits. Like they don't. So again, it's a question: like, is he that seedy, or is he just not? Or is it just like a necessary evil? That's the weird thing.
God, a lot of moral ambiguity through this show. That's definitely one of the running trademarks of it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about. You brought up Carl Urban. I too. For years I've been saying Carl Urban is one of a go-to for Batman. Not the go-to, but a go-to. If we're going down a list of potential Batman, Carl Urban would have my vote. Maybe not everybody.
He's a safe choice, but he's a good choice.
Exactly. I've been saying ever since I saw him in the Star Trek movie because I think he's really good. But points, Carl Urban, he never disappoints when I see this guy. So the Butcher. Let's talk about the Butcher. Is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, this guy is probably the best character in the show, and I just think he's very much he reminds me of Christian Slater and Mr. Robot. He kind of has that same sort of like, here, son, I'm going to guide you along into this mysterious web of, this underground network that you didn't know existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kind of had like a Mr. Robot quality to him, which I kind of dug.
Certainly. I mean, I gotta tell you, the look of the Butcher, too. It's a man in a Hawaiian shirt and essentially a duster, and it's Carl Urban. This character has my attention.
Yeah, I just I love
he's kind of Nick Fury.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So he's kind of Nick Fury-esque to an extent, and kind of walking through. It's almost like the negative version. What if Nick Fury told Iron Man about this? About this you're about to be part of a bigger world. What was it? The bigger world was horrible. Bigger world. It's like what if it was like?
Yeah, there's men in poorly lit rooms, and they secretly control the universe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyways.
Anywho, yeah. So he's So the one nitpick I had through the whole series, though, is of course the whole boys of it all. So here's the thing: so the boys is the name of the group in the comic, which is why it's called the boys. The idea is that there's the Butcher assembled his team that basically we get introduced to through the course of the show, and they were essentially kind of an FBI team, but here we changed it up. So they're they were a Black Ops team, more accurate. They were a Black Ops team in the comic called the Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And here what we've done is like the idea is that the Butcher is he's an independent contractor, so he'd be hired by the FBI and other groups, and that's how I would have all his contacts and so on and so forth. So they changed a few things for the better, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Basically, he opens Huey's eyes to how, as you say, how Vaught's abused the power and everything. A little bit of a parallel, the oversaturation of the superhero market and everything. We go to like,
for sure.
the Soups Club. Oh god, the Soups Club. Basically, an R-rated den of superhero debauchery.
It's such a good location.
So basically, this leads to the big A-Train moment. Where he's just kind of laughing over Robin, like, "Yeah, I ran through a girl, it's like a bug on a windshield, sort of thing." And Huey, this leads to Huey's infiltration into Vought to plant the bug. And of course, things go wrong because it's any heist or any kind of job, things are going to go wrong. I love how intense it is when he meets A-Train, just sees him covered in blood. It's like, oh god, it's so traumatizing,
God, it's just like you never know what to expect from the visuals of this show.
A running thread that we had that was so ingeniously set up that is in the comic, from what I understand. Like a big part of the comic they wanted to get just right is the conversation between Huey and Annie.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely is kind of like a thesis statement sort of moment for both of them. It kind of like it sets both of them on their journey. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, really, their arcs don't work without this one conversation, so it would be a pivotal point.
Yes, and again, it's just this great intersection that will absolutely pay off as things kind of check back in later on. Again, like they're in the same location, they're both in the same location for a moment, but they're on different stories right now. She's kind of processing the horrible things she's had to do to the Deep to get on the team, and he's just he's trying to get back at Adrian, the horrible thing that he did to him.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, there's a third party involved in all this, and that leads to the big translucent fight.
Oh man.
God, I love the translucent fight so much. It's really tricky. It's really tricky fighting an Invisible Man, as you can probably imagine. Also, because man, I'm a fan of the Invisible Man as a kind of a horror concept too. It's kind of cool to see good stuff done with an Invisible Man. And I love my favorite bit in this fight is when the Butcher just crashes into the store to save Huey, and he just crashes into it with his car. And when he's fighting Translucent, who's invisible, of course, he gets punched in the face, and he basically spits blood on him so he can find him and wail on him. That's a great move.
Yeah, that's great.
So cool. I've seen the pervier version of it done in Dragon Ball. This is far better.
Oh man.
But yeah, this is cool. Of course, we shock him in the butt, and basically, of course, he has carbon skin, which makes him highly conductive. Basically, what if Luke Cage had conductive skin? That's pretty much what Translucent's deal is. What if he's invisible and essentially bulletproof?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the first plane ending.
Yeah, the first plane. The show has not since Lost has a plane crash been so dramatic, Dragon.
So in connection to this, we should talk about Madeline Stillwell. How do you feel about Elizabeth Shue in this show?
I'm not quite sure how to feel about her just yet. I think she has the potential to turn into a really interesting, compelling character. As it stands, I really think she's just kind of there for corporate exposition most of the time. Of course, her big selling point is her like really, really creepy relationship with Homelander, and in those scenes, she is definitely magnetic. So we'll see. Like I said, I think in season 2 they're going to do more with her.
TK, I kind of doubt that.
Oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry.
No
so
offense,
many characters.
but...
Dragon, I'm sorry. You have to forgive me because so many characters die in the last few episodes. It's kind of like the last book of Harry Potter. It's like it's hard to keep track of who's alive and who's dead by the end of it.
I mean, unless she could survive that horrible fate, I mean, I doubt it, man. I really don't get what happens to her. Anywho. But that's the thing.
Right, well, like I said, I think mostly she was used for corporate exposition, which is where I just thought she was okay. But where she really excelled was with all the Homelander stuff. That was really her A game material.
True. I love her I love the whole selling of the superheroes idea. Like she's selling a superhero to a desperate city for like a 3-year contract for $300 million. Which is crazy. Or selling basically the Black Panther equivalent, Nubian Prince. The Baltimore, given like they want. God, it's such a. Regardless, yeah, the point is like this leads to he's trying to sweeten the deal. I believe he brings up like Compound V, which basically again we're setting up that plot point here, and this leads to Homelander trying to take charge and essentially make her proud of her boy.
Oh God, there's going to be a lot
Which
of that.
leads to the unsettling. Yeah, there is, which leads to kind of an unsettling plane ending where Homelander tries to take care of it. It's like, hey, look, it's Homelander. We've seen this scene so many times. Like, oh, look, it's our Superman-esque figures waving hellos, being a nice guy. Which, by the way, this is a stamp of Garth Ennis. He always has these plane scenes where basically something really unseemly happens with the superhero flying outside the plane window.
Oh man.
Basically, in this case, it's the lethal version where he basically lasers the plane. That's your big ending. So I want to talk about too is that all these episodes are so dense. Like these are really full. Like when you get an hour episode, it's a real full hour episode, man. Like you get a lot in there with each of these episodes.
It is.
All right, so that was a lot of setup. So I think the rest of these are going to go by a smidge quicker. So
hopefully,
right.
hopefully,
I believe so. All right, let's get to episode 2 then, which is Cherry.
Come on. Cherry Bomb.
Cherry Bomb. I wish they could call it that. I really do.
All right. This is kind of more set up, to be honest with you, because we have to set up Frenchie here.
Also, it's the big "What do we do with translucent" episode. This is kind of the Breaking Bad. This is kind of like the cat's in the river, and the cat's in the bag, and the bag's in the river, sort of equivalent. Here's the big "What do we do with Crazy 8" episode. Only Crazy 8 is translucent.
And much like that, how that was Walter White's first kill, this is Huey's first kill, and a very big kill, one that really kind of puts his foot in the water of this world. So a lot of parallels there to that episode. You're right, Dragon.
Kind of a great kind of bottle episode for the most part. I know it's maybe not entirely a bottle episode, at least for the story. The story is very much localized to one place, and it's like we have a big problem, and Homelander is our ticking clock. They're going to send Homelander, which is going to be doomsday for us. So what are we going to do in this situation? We have to decide. We have a guy who ends up being alive, and he's kind of unkillable, and we have to get rid of him. As we know, if he spills the beans, we're lunch meat. It's not good. So, yeah, so you mentioned Frenchie. So how do you feel about Frenchie?
I grew to like him a little bit more, but in general, I think both him and Mother's Milk, I honestly think both of them are kind of just like they're side characters just for the sake of having more people in the cast. I didn't really feel a huge, strong connection to either of them, to be honest with you. I think they were kind of just filler characters.
I think the only point is I think they work better as a unit than they are kind of. They don't have as much individually. I think there's something there, but I think I defer to the Posh Spice. I defer to the Spice Girls speech that the Butcher gives.
Right. Fair enough.
All right, so let's see. So yeah, basically Frenchie's the arms dealer and kind of our anti-meta weaponry, a weapons specialist, if you will. They're trying to figure out a way basically they're trying to come up with like a Judas bullet to kill Translucent, which is not in the cards. It looks like. So let's see. So we meet Susan Rayner, basically the FBI contact, played by Jennifer Esposito. You haven't seen her since Master of the Skies, I take it.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh dear God. Oh no.
I've seen her in Blue Bloods. I've seen her in some better stuff since then. But she tried Masters of the Skies. It wasn't her fault.
I'm sure Dana Carvey also technically tried in that movie.
Yeah, sure. Okay, in all seriousness, let's see.
He did a lot of impressions, Dragon, just none of them were good.
Okay, let's not rag on Dana Carvey. There's a whole documentary for that. I mean, not in a good way. It's a really good documentary. Anywho, moving on. So we meet her. We set her up. And she's the contact that would basically help the Butcher out now and again. Let's see. Again, the idea with Frenchie is we reintroduce the boys via Huey and this translucent situation where basically by the end of this translucent situation, it's like, hey, maybe we can get the band back together, and we do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mystery unfolding, like how are we, like what one lead leads to the other, which leads to our climax, essentially. Starlight. So Starlight, she's becoming more disillusioned with things. Now she's kind of made her bed with, I did the thing to make the team via the Deep, but I didn't have to because the Deep has no say whatsoever. So she's kind of living in that space right now, and she's really much hating the Deep, but also not crazy about how the logistics of being a superhero within the Seven works. How does that unfold, Tiki?
Yeah, well, essentially, she stops a rape from happening, but then lo and behold, that rape is recorded and spread around, or not the rape, but I'm sorry, that was poorly worded. The I'm sorry, folks. The rescue is recorded and spread around social media, and but there's a problem with that, Dragon, because it's not so black and white. Heroes can't just be heroes, because I don't know. Why is that, Dragon? Why is it logistically a little gray in the realm of the boys?
Well, it's really great because basically the Vault has analysts that find out that basically find the most spectacular, specific crimes that can be recorded and basically be marketable. And like, hey, look, we're just going to put this on our news network. Of like, look, superheroes are the Seven are being awesome and they're stopping spectacular crimes. Like, invest your money in these guys. And basically they're staging lines like you take them down, and you say now you've seen the light or something along those lines. And basically just trying to stage heroics, which is terrible. And she's working with the Deep of all people after what she's had to do for them. And I love that she's not taking it lying down either. Sorry, it's a horrible pun. Incidental pun. Regardless, she's standing up to him and she means business. Like, hey, I know you're kind of a C-lister on the team. If you try anything, man, I'm gonna fry your eyes out. So she means business. That Starlight, she does. She's cool. Let's see. So Madeline, her goal. Basically, we set up her goal this season. Her goal is to get the supers, essentially, kind of in the defense department, and basically get her in the arm, get the superheroes in the armed forces, get them like in the military, essentially. So they're basically like they're indispensable if they're working for the U.S. in official capacity. So like kind of the popularized vigilante outlook,
Yeah, it's like a weird, like legitimized vigilantism is what's going on at the Seven right now. I guess is how you would put it.
And one could say she's trying to get him deputized like Batman was in the '60s Batman show. It's kind of what she's going for here.
But a much more dark version of that. Back to the
Absolutely.
'60s Batman show. Batman's road to getting deputized was this dark.
Oh God, crazy. So of course, in doing so,
many people died in the process. Robin, I can't sleep at nights.
There is this really dark thing with Adam West and the '60s Batman thing. I should show you sometime. It's some other time, not now. Regardless, so what Madeline does here, she does some really messed up blackmail to kind of put this into motions. What does she do, Tiki?
Oh God. Dragon, I'm sorry. Don't throw the what does she? I binged this, all right, and I binged this
right.
for like 3 weeks. Okay, so
fair enough. She's the shapeshifter. Do you remember?
Need to not do specific things. Go ahead.
All right, fair enough. Okay, the shapeshifter gag. You remember the shapeshifter gag at all? Where basically she hooks up the senator that he's going to float the bill around.
Oh yes, right.
Basically, she sets him up with this a bartender for a night of fun, and that night of fun turns, as we reveal, the shapeshifter turns into a really rotund guy, and basically takes pictures, takes selfies of this, and basically has blackmail over the guy to basically work this, basically put this in the work. So we're going to get the superheroes in official capacity in the government.
Sneaky.
Oh yeah, as a Madeline, again, she means business. Even here's the thing, she has so much power, despite the fact she does not have legit powers.
Right.
Let's see. The beginning of this, where Translucent's gone, and we have A-Train. I still love A-Train being put in this position here because he earns it, man. A-Train's such a prick. He deserves this. Where A-Train is, he has to fill in for Translucent during a Make-A-Wish thing, and basically this kid who was expecting Translucent, and A-Train, who again is terrible off script apparently, where he shows up, hey, and he's just bringing like an action figure.
Hey, it's me. Well, Translucent's not here, but it's me, A-Train.
It's the cringiest thing you've ever seen, but again, deserved, given you the horrible thing that A-Train has done remorselessly, where it's basically like, I'm going to teach you how to run fast. And of course, we look to the doctor who's like shaking his like, no, that's not going to happen. and the kid asks, you're going to teach me how to outrun cancer? And like, just the perfect sell line was like cameras going of like, you tell this like the worst way this could possibly go. A speedster visiting a kid in the hospital. Like, you're going to teach me to outrun cancer? And having that, just seeing him squirm is perfect.
Oh man.
So anyway, the big part of the episode, though, the big one. So the big ending of it all here, Huey. Huey's
This
descent
was the
begins
big
here,
sell of the show for me, Dragon.
and this is very much your bike lock kill.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So he has a conversation with Translucent. It has similar style to Crazy 8. You know, he's trying to talk him down. He's trying to figure out a way here. He's basically trying to get some answers from him because he's saying, okay, look, if you give me some answers, I'm going to try to convince him not to kill you, and Translucent's not playing ball. And basically they find a way to kill Super that's indestructible. And basically the way they do that is they stick plastique up the old...
Right up the butt. Right up the butt.
Right up the rear exit, yeah. And of course, leads to the cherry bomb of it all, where basically Huey hits the detonator. Once they get hit, there's a really tense sequence with Homelander, which is really like, oh god, we have to distract Homelander with an explosion.
That was great. That was wonderful, kind of like foreshadowing of how terrifying Homelander is going to be eventually become.
On the rewatch, there's this great threat that Translucent makes, where basically selling the threat of Homelander, he mentions that Huey's just a water balloon filled with meat.
Oh god.
And of course, at the end of the day, Translucent becomes that water balloon filled with meat.
Sure.
Right. Also, we set up the whole twisted dynamic of Homelander and Still. We should talk about that a little bit here. Where basically, out of fear, she's trying to placate him, and basically, you're my special boy. That sort of thing. She's very maternal.
There's so many like wrong implications with this, but it's I don't even know how I feel about it, Dragon. I don't even know if I like it. I mean, if it's meant to be unsettling, which I'm sure it is, then job well done.
I mean, it absolutely is. Like, I was, when I was watching it initially, I thought the reveal was going to be that she was his actual mother, which it did not go there, which would have been even more twisted, mind you. But I think it's still as twisted as is the fact they have a very maternal dynamic, and Homelander, as we're going to kind of like learn, is that he's very much grew up without a mother, and that was kind of that's kind of his undoing at the end. That's his core flaw at the end of the day. He grew up without a mother. He's just trying to compensate, and does all these twisted things where. He's watching her. He's using his X-ray vision through the wall to watch her breast pump because she has a baby. Which to me, I thought the biggest thing they were going to do this season. I thought he was going to kill that baby this whole season.
Oh, I did too. There was a lot of suspense about that.
There was one moment I was like on the edge of my seat. Oh god, not even the one you're thinking. I'm talking like in the middle of things. Like, oh god, he's eyeing that baby. God.
Oh, jeez.
The point being, Translucent blows up, and that's the end of our episode. That brings us to episode 3.
Get some!
Yeah, more ways than one.
Alright, so this is where we introduce Compound V, and that's going to become a big plot point moving forward.
Yes, and we also, basically, this is the big Pop Claw episode, too.
Yes.
So one, we introduce Mother's Milk as well. So Mother's Milk, again, I like the whole community outreach thing that he does, and the idea this is a guy who's been out of the game, but the idea we've killed.
He's a serviceable character. I just don't think we really learned that much about him. Besides, he's been out of the game for a while and he has a family. That's really about all there is to him.
Well, yeah, and he's trying to help the youths and everything, and like
yeah.
I think again,
I feel like going forward, there's room to grow with him.
Certainly, that's the thing to keep in mind. Sure. So let's see. Importantly, though, here's the best thing about Mother. I think Mother's Milk. This is his best episode for me because he really gives Huey perspective here. It's a really great exchange that they have, where he stirs up a little bit of doubt in what the boys' mission is. This whole we're going to attack all the supers and everything. Of course, Huey being the one who pulled the trigger and the detonator and everything here, where it's this great conversation where he talks about the rush. He must have been really scared when you blew him up. And he tells him that rush is the same thing that A-Train is chasing. This because basically we learn A-Train's a junkie in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that rush is the same thing that A-Train feels, and that rush comes with a price, and this leads to that really great response that Huey has, where the last thing I ever said to Robin was, "Don't you dare besmirch the name of Billy Joel." Those are my last words, and I've suffered, and I'll pay that price. Believe me, when that time comes, I will pay it. Really great exchange, really great setting things up here. And again, Mother's Milk kind of reminding, well, you said you pay the price, as in all these moral compromises, you're owning up to it because that's what you told me. It's a really great scene between the two of them.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's the thing, though. His character kind of peaks in his, debut episode. I think that's a little problematic.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but maybe the future will kind of.
I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. I'm just, he through the rest of the series, he's just kind of there.
Yeah. Let's see. Uh, Sorry. So let's see. Huey again. He's kind of living in the aftermath of all that stuff, going through that change, as we already kind of went through with the mother's milk thing. We do get some insight into A Train's addiction to Compound V, which basically is kind of like a super steroid that kind of unlocks powers and potential and everything. And he's really stressing over the big race. Basically, they're trying to build in a little bit of sympathy for A Train. Did you feel any sympathy for A Train as the series was
Fuck
going on?
no. Are you
Yeah, that's
kidding
the right
me?
answer. That's the right answer. Good. But they're
I mean,
trying to basically.
I'll go as far as to say this, Dragon. I felt more sympathy for Homelander in this season than I did for fucking A Train.
Donovan's in agreement, by the way. Yep, preach. Oh yeah, it's but that's the thing. They're trying to show you that A Train, basically, he's driven, but I think it shows that he's as more self-absorbed as he is. Where again, like he was just chasing a high, and that's why Robin died. Just even more pointless, It's just even more sad when you look at it that way. And like he's basically doubling down on his dosage so he can win the big race against Shockwave, so he can be the fastest man. And the only bit of sympathy that could really be garnered, I guess, is the fact that Homelander's telling you're going to be kicked out of the league, which again, for any rational person, should not be the end of the world if you've seen how the Seven operates. But basically, again, this whole like, if you're not the fastest man while you're on the team, it's like you'll be outdone by the younger generation. It's like an athlete thing where you're always going to be outdone by the younger next generation.
Right, right.
It kind of implied to me that maybe he started off as a hero like Starlight, but who then got led astray to
I could
being who
see
he
that.
was.
I could see that. I mean, just based on his demeanor, like he does have a good presence with people when it's staged. You know what I mean?
They did try to give him some humanity with Popclaw, though. Popclaw, of course, I like the idea that our heroes that didn't quite make the seven, kind of our B and C stringers, they end up being kind of Hollywood heroes. Like they get TV shows and movies and stuff. Like Popclaw is a movie star of a hero. Kind of
Yeah, I mean,
essentially,
I feel way more sympathy for her than I do anything for A Train, though.
certainly, that's what I'm saying. They're trying to do it by proxy of her, but we end up feeling more sympathy for Popclaw, yeah. And that thing, so Pablo seems to be like a decent enough person, a bit of a celebrity, but again, nothing worried about her reputation, not a flattering quality, but everything else though. She wants to be in the spotlight with A Train. She's like, hey, I want to be announced as your girlfriend. I want you like saying that you're on the market, man. Like it offends her, and I don't blame her.
Yeah, I don't blame her as well. It's kind of like it kind of harkens back to Spider-Man 3, like, oh, be sure to watch me as I kiss Gwen Stacy.
Yes, Gwen Stacy, absolutely. That's the thing. So we have basically fame kind of gets in the way of love for her, where she truly does love A Train. I would imagine the feelings reciprocated with A Train. Does he deserve it? No, but does he get it? Yeah. We're honestly kind of trying to start a parallel between him and Huey that they both had girlfriends and things were going pretty well for them, and now in basically being in each other's lives, they kind of thrown that into chaos. So basically, this jealousy is kind of taken out in the form of Popclaw going on the Compound V. And of course, basically, kind of her powers are in flux here, and basically they go. Her powers become very heightened, and basically this leads
They
to
go a little haywire, Dragon. Things get a little out of hand.
because the ultimate form of jealousy at the end of the day is crushing a man's head in the throes of passion. It's a heck of a way to go, but not a nice way to go.
And this is where we know, like, Houston, we're not in the MCU anymore.
Oh, we are, man. Jessica Jones would never go that far. At least I hope not.
Oh man, could you imagine?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get. We shouldn't devote much to that. let's not dwell on that one anyway. Regardless, because remember, an episode later in this one does get into that sort of subject. What happens when superheroes with non-superhero? Anyway, more on that later.
Sure, sure.
Let's see. Regardless, okay, let's see. Really interesting though, and I love the art. The boys kind of let it happen. Bear in mind, as I love they point this out too, that can you run up a flight of stairs in 10 seconds and can defend yourself against a roided out superhero with essentially essentially Wolverine claws? Can you do that? then there's nothing really they could have done. But again, they were kind of complicit in watching it go down.
Yeah, a little like I'm kind of on Butcher's side when it comes to this. It's like going in there maybe would have been suicide, but it's a little shade of moral ambiguity there.
And it's a fact,
But
literally
both
10
sides.
seconds. There's no way they could have done it. So I'm on the Butcher's side too. Like, he's absolutely right. There's no way he could have gone up there. Regardless, so they use this to blackmail her, and basically now they have they have a new lead via Pop Claw. So it's kind of a big takeaway there. Let's see. So Starlight, she's has so basically her actual heroics have landed her in trouble, and now she's wearing a skimpy costume and everything.
Yep, I feel like Starlight's kind of like the biggest direct parallel to celebrity culture.
Certainly, and basically anything like unless it's like here's the thing. Initially, it's like, oh god, she's beating up on people, and now of course it's like, hey, she's starting a movement. She's beating up rapists, man. It's like it's word of mouth. It changes everything. It's a constant influx. Also, she and Huey they hit it off, which leads to getting her phone number, and that's going to definitely pay off in the oncoming
Is that where we'll
episodes.
get the mini golf game, or I'm sorry, the bowling game?
Yeah, I think it's the next one. I think
Okay, okay.
it's either the next one or the one at it's coming soon. Let's see. So Huey, so Homelander, he finds Translucent's remains in a zinc box because he can't see through zinc. Get it? He can't see through zinc. And these of course, a little spray paint coming for you. Basically, needed to stall Homelander in finding the remains of Translucent. Now they know someone's gunning for the soups, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that's the episode. So that leads to episode 4, the females of the species, is where we meet the female.
All right.
It's kind of her super name, but it's kind of her name on the boys, the female. So.
Oh, I didn't really know that. Okay.
I mean, we learn a real name later on. I'm saying that's kind of her official name, hence the whole title of the episode. There. So
Yeah,
point
no,
is, we're
I'm
looking.
looking at it. I'm looking at it on Wiki. I didn't really connect the. I didn't really connect the two until now.
Yeah.
That's a good female name, or I'm sorry, that's good. Obviously, it's a good female name, but that's an interesting name for a comic book character. The female.
I think her full name is the female of the species too. I think it's like the anyway. We're getting a little off track here. Point being, the opening of this episode. Before we get to the female of it all, another kind of the double entendre of the female is also about the female in the butcher's life, with the opening about his wife Becca.
Yeah, I love how we seed in just enough about his past. It's not too much. It's not too little. It's just the perfect amount of backstory for him.
Oh yeah, and I just love how that unfolds too.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to get Rainer in on the action, basically trying to stop Vought. Like, can you get her on his side? And basically, she agrees, but you have to give me a hard proof because again, it's a big risk she'd be taking. Like, you accuse Vought of anything because they have lawyers and government kind of support and everything. So let's see. So Mother's Milk and Frenchie, they kind of again, their dynamics pretty much like one's trying to move forward, like versus one who's still in the game and having the bachelor's life, like Mother's Milk with the family and everything. We kind of have that put into play here. We meet the Triads. Basically, in terms of our big plot, the whole Compound V of it all. So they found out from Pop Claw where A Train goes to get the Compound V, where he was going when he was running through Robin. He was on his way back from the Triads, who basically provided him with Compound V.
Mm-hmm.
Because they needed it. So we find the Triads, but the Triads also have kind of someone captured, which is the female, who essentially is this this very, very Cassandra Cain-like. Cassandra Cain essentially being a Batgirl who used to be kind of an assassin who was trained to be, more civil and more human. That's kind of the idea that in the new Birds of Prey movie they're doing, she's going to be in that. It's kind of her backstory. Anywho, what I mean is like basically the female is she's very vicious, very deadly. I want to say she's infused with Compound V. That's the one thing I couldn't quite glean on my rewatch. Like, did you recall anything?
I kind of assume that. I don't know. Maybe they don't like say it outright, but I kind of felt like it was implied.
I'm pretty sure the reveal later is that her unit was captured and she was injected with the stuff. I believe that's what the deal with her is. Like in the comics, she was as an infant, she crawled into like a giant vat of it. So that's kind of what happened, or like a barrel of it or something.
Well, obviously that's.
What are we talking about? Yeah.
Well, one thing I think is worth noting is that I feel like Frenchie does get a little bit more than Mother's Milk because he does have the main connection to the female.
Yeah.
And that definitely is a pretty solid arc throughout the season.
Yeah, he's becoming more like Mother's Milk. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so big one. This is the big episode. This is where we get the plane scene, the real plane scene.
It's good for the soul. Oh yeah, that's a very deceptive. Oh, I'm sorry. We're still on the same episode,
Yeah, we're
right?
still in the same episode. I know, right? It
Okay,
comes that
my
fast.
bad. I'm sorry. I thought you were skipping ahead. Okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
the plane scene.
Keep going. Yeah,
All right,
the plane scene I think is probably the pivotal scene in the whole series. Honestly, so far, I really think it's absolutely gut wrenching. But you know what I think the most powerful part of it is, Dragon?
what?
It asks you what you would do in this situation. And honestly, I think most people would have to side with like, yeah, if it was just me and I could save my own life, or I could stay there and die with those people, knowing those people are gonna die. Honestly, Dragon, I can say this: like, I would be in self-preservation mode too, Dragon. I don't even feel shame in saying that.
It's
I don't
just
know. There's some people that might feel differently, but I don't know. I maybe I'm just like a self-preservation kind of guy.
well, remember, it's even more twisted than that too. It's like we just take this classic situation that we've seen a million times with a Superman. You know, where okay, we stop the terrorists who have hijacked the plane, especially in kind of a post 9/11 world. This holds great significance. Or okay, but you know, we have a very different outcome here. Where okay, so if everything starts off all great, you know, Homelander saving the day and charming the passengers, like, hey, everybody's fine. Like saying the little girl, like, hey, don't worry,
Oh
you're gonna
God.
be okay. She's all smiling. This is where Anthony Starr really impresses a lot of people, I'd imagine. Where it's like he's just like, hey, and just the shift from how he just started the scene to where he's at the end of the scene, where Homelander then recklessly he lasers the terrorist, and in doing so he damages the plane. And basically, that plane's going down, and we have this chilling moment of again, basically what the whole show's built on of like demystifying the superhero kind of logistics where he's saying like, "There's no way I can really, I can't land this plane like Superman does all the time. Basically, I can't like just let. There's, what am I staying on effing air? You know, there's no,
Right.
the point being, I think at the end of the day, I think for me, my read on the scene was that I think Homelander, if he really thought about it, he could have saved the whole plane, but it was just, he was a little lazy to do so. Like he would have had really thinking that that's what I like to think. I think
Laziness and carelessness, Dragon. That's one of the big, sort of like dark black spots on the superheroes in this show.
because I like to think he would just tell everyone to buckle up, and then he just basically use some speed to get some momentum, just kind of catch the plane, and
Right,
then just kind of
right.
land it. That's what I like to think he would do. But again, he would have to be thinking that way. But again, if you really cared, maybe you do that. So that's the thing. So it just leaves that chilling moment of he's just going there and telling these passengers, "Hey, you're going to be fine. The doomed passengers, you're going to be fine." He goes, "I'm going to save you." He says, "You're leaving." He goes, "I told you, I'm not leaving." And of course, he's absolutely leaving the place. And this is the really great part. This is where Queen Maeve really comes alive for me, where she is regretting her choice of becoming a member of the Seven here. She's like, "Oh my god, I was leaving these people to die." And she just feels horrible about it. And then, of course, like the little girl from earlier, so she wants to save two people, and he's saying, "No, we're not going to save because now they're witnesses. They're going to tell everyone we didn't save everyone. All this stuff is going on." He's like, everyone's like panicking and wanting like to cling on to him. He's like, "Hey, back the f up, guys!" He's like, with laser visions coming on. "I have a laser. Every one of you, every last one of you." Oh god, it's so horrifying. Just the vitriol of like he's just taking the romance of the whole thing. Like, get back, no witnesses,
Yeah,
like you're all
yeah.
doomed. And he flies off, and you can see people jumping from the plane as it's going down. Oh god, it's horrible. It's
Yeah, like I
definitely
said, I like the trademark, kind of like the coup d'etat, the quintessential scene of the boys. If you want to show someone one scene to sell them on the
mm-hmm.
show them this scene.
Like that and A Train are the big scenes for me in the whole season. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, so let's see. Hugh and this. Okay, so Hugh and Ann, they're on their date. This is the one where they're on the bowling date.
Okay, okay.
So do you want to say anything about the bowling date, or?
No, I just like the way it gets called back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make such a big deal out of it.
And basically, Huey plants the bug here as he's instructed to by the butcher here. It's like, you know, it's planted in the table, is planted in her phone, so anytime she goes to meetings, we'll have a little bit of insight.
Uh-huh.
Then we go to Penn Station. This is basically, we already covered most of the female stuff here. Basically, I don't just mean like the female stuff, I mean, you know, the female. Stuff with the female. Well, basically, Frenchie, like Huey, he kind of befriends a soup. Again, kind of paralleling what he's doing with Starlight. And this ends up being a great benefit to them, where she becomes a member of the team ultimately. And they kind of save A-Train's beating the living tar out of her, and they kind of, while he's hopped up on Compound V, so they kind of they save her at the last minute, thankfully, and of course we also get the Spice Girls speech in here. But also one thing I don't want to glaze over, I had to make sure I didn't miss this. In the middle of things, so the Deep is feeling very very small.
Oh my god! Yes, thank you for not glazing over this.
You tell him about the Deep thing. Tell him about the Deep.
This is magic. This is fucking magic. So yes, the Deep is it's a great kind of foreshadow too, if you think about it.
Oh yeah,
because he's got this dolphin that he's escaped from Aqualand, I think, or some such knockoff SeaWorld,
like an aquarium or a theme park of some kind. Yeah,
and it's just like, at first it's just like, don't worry, buddy, we'll get you free, but it gets uncomfortable very quickly, Dragon.
The idea is that, oh god, here's the thing: is we borderline beastie. Well, I can't even say borderline. It's like nautical.
I don't think it's borderline, Dragon.
Basically, nautical. It's kind of nautical bestiality, one could say.
And I think he was going to do the same thing to that lobster, my friend.
Okay, two things. All right. Okay, one, I think, remember, the dolphin was asking for it, though. The dolphin was very much into him, basically trying to reciprocate.
We don't know that the lobster wasn't.
I think it's, when you bring up, I didn't think of that, because I was thinking, oh, maybe he wants a buddy because he's so alone right now. I didn't think of it that way, which is even creepier. But.
No, I think he wanted, that's the thing, Dragon. I don't know. When you think of it like that, doesn't it become more twisted?
What? It does, but you know what? Like, gotta give me something with. Yeah, I can't just be all darkness. I like to think maybe he wanted a little friend with the lobster that was just taken away from him.
I don't know. Seems a little optimistic to me.
Hey, that's fair enough. Hey, it's up to interpretation. No
Does
problem.
Bryce Walker just want friends, Dragon? Even in the season that he was getting redeemed.
Of course, look, the perfect comparison for Homelander is very much kind of like Chris, very much kind of another kind of diet Chris Pine or something, like, kind of another Chris Pine. Mm-hmm. But the other thing would be he's like Bryce Walker's older brother.
God, yes.
Seriously, yes. Tell me you don't see it. Tell me you don't hear it.
No, I totally see it.
Okay, regardless, of course, this rescue goes before
he's
things get
beat
weird.
You up and steal your lunch money and also rape you with a fucking mop.
I was the other guy, but sure. Anyway, point being, well, he will. Okay, we're getting off track. My point is, the rescue does, before things get weird, things turn tragic with this rescue, where the dolphin does not make it, folks.
Yes, and it's all set to glorious Spice Girls music.
And of course, the Spice Girl reference within the episode again, there's a Spice Girl theme apparently and everything. It's so random, and I love it. And of course, this leads to the dolphin just kind of, as he halts as the cops are on him. Basically, he's trying to take up an important cause, trying to make himself important with them. He doesn't want to get lost in the Homelander of it all. It's like, hey, I'm important too, guys. Give me a cause. Give me a cause. Try to liberate a dolphin, just ends up getting run over, and it's horrible.
God.
Oh, so much dolphin tuna. It's horrible. All right, that brings us to episode 5.
Episode 5, good for the soul.
This is our big Ezekiel, the religious episode.
Yeah, this was one of my less favorite episodes, I gotta say. It's, at the end of the day, it's kind of just like character building for Huey and Starlight, and it's not bad. It's just kind of, it feels a little more slow paced, not a ton of action here.
Well, action at the end with, the female gets brutally attacked by Black Noir, but it's okay because she has a healing.
Oh, that's right. Black Noir does. I bet you're a big fan of Black Noir, right?
I think Black Noir is really cool, and here's more of a wait and see. I want to see him do more with him.
He is a wait and see, but you got to admit, in this season, he's kind of the Boba Fett.
He is, and what's really cool is they have him doing mundane things at the parties and everything too. He's kind of showing up, like I think he has a drink in hand sometimes. It's just kind of funny.
I just think he has a real presence to him.
He does. He's got an awesome costume too. All right, let's see. So, okay, so A-Train, remember the opening of this episode is really tragic though. A-Train, he deludes Popclaw by taking her to a safe place where what he's really trying to do is is get the information from, like, who blackmailed me. I mean, basically who did you tell about the Compound V? And he finally figures out after he's built up trust. And I'm trying to protect her. That's why I took her like I don't know if it was Tijuana, but took her somewhere. Took her somewhere. Point being, and after he learns this information, again, she's sharing this out of love and everything. Barely, again, she means what she says, and he, in a flash, kills her so brutally. He gives her an overdose and basically throws her out like trash.
Yeah, man, and this is where it's like, okay, if we didn't think this guy was a dick before.
And again, like, this is the fascinating thing. Again, while I have no sympathy for him, I get to see, like, he didn't want to do this. He did truly love this woman, but he chose his reputation over the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just, it's horrible. So speaking of reputations over things, Ezekiel. So Ezekiel, we kind of met during that big kind of Den of Sin thing earlier in episode 1. So we're at Believe Expo, which of course I love the parallel of, like, hey, we're blind faith in soups, as in, basically the superheroes.
Yeah, it's a really fun parallel, and this show does draw a lot of parallels, politically speaking, religiously. We really do see a lot of, like, interesting shades of, like, how the idea of superheroes affects different points of culture and sociology in this world.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. So Ezekiel, basically, the idea, we have our Mr. Fantastic of the group, kind of our stretchy guy. He's very much kind of a born again. I forget, like, what, I think he's like a born again Christian or something. The point being, he's very uber religious. This is where we kind of get into the whole religious kind of like the uber mensch of the superhero, if you will. Like, Homelander has it a lot, basically in the image that you can see before you folks. We have him very much in the Christ pose. And he's doing that intentionally too. Again, he knows he's at the Believe Expo right now. He's like, "Yeah, guys," and that's the whole point. He's trying to stick it to Madeline here by just trying to oversell. Like we pretty much. He's giving the savior speech. Like, this is why the government needs us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not the non-subtle thing of what she's trying to do. She's trying to manipulate people. He's trying to say, "Hey, do it," which of course is not the right approach. Of course, we had that really tense baptism scene, man. The baptism scene's really, really tense.
Sure.
Where Homelander's baptizing you, he almost like drowns you. And I do wonder this, TK. I wonder if, because we know he's not on to Huey here, but I do wonder if he's just that careless with people, he could drown him by accident.
That's the thing. It would be like kind of part of the collateral damage theme of it all. And right. I like how one of the things, it's like, again, to kind of just go back to Robin for a second, Dragon, one of the great things that Robin does is it puts this element of danger in every single moment of the show. You know what I mean? Where deaths could happen so suddenly and so unexpectedly, and it's just kind of like how the showrunners like to do things.
Oh, yeah, and of course, as Donovan pointed out, the showrunners beings, I forgot to mention them, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who work on Preacher. Yes. I like that we're keeping it all in-house for Garth Ennis. It feels really consistent, really well done that way.
It does, yeah.
Right, I mean, they're producers, and our showrunner was, it was Eric Kripke, I believe. He did a lot of the writing, too, so. Anyway. Right, okay, let's see. So, so basically, Huey confronts Ezekiel and basically spins him the yarn of, I believe he was going to record the conversation, so unfortunately his phone got soaked during the baptism, which he was not expecting a baptism. He was expecting like a little meet and greet. So he basically kind of blackmails Ezekiel with it. He bluffs his way so well, by the way. Huey's evolution is just so great in this show, though, where he becomes better and better. Again, basically there's a great parallel between Huey and the Butcher. Through the course of the show, Huey becomes very much like the Butcher.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know? Of course, in losing the girlfriend.
Well, we see Huey kind of lose humanity as we see the shades of humanity that the Butcher lost as we reveal more of his backstory. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Does that make any sense?
It does. And Donovan kind of concurs with the best writing for his character. Yeah, Huey definitely got a lot of really great writing here. And of course, where he basically blackmails Ezekiel on the fly here by saying, like, I won't go into all the specifics, but like all the nasty stuff that Ezekiel did to him, basically made a manwich with him, if you will.
Oh God!
To quote the Butcher from earlier, and basically, and I also love that he really sticks a point to him. He calls Ezekiel out on his own hypocrisy of, like, don't be the uber right religious, pray the gay away guy. Stop that, stop that for this instant.
Right.
Well, I have you over a barrel. All right, let's see. So we learn. Okay. So the big revelation in terms of our plot this episode is that we learn that the polio shots, ever since 1971, essentially polio vaccines have been laced with compound V, and they've been injected into children, which have turned them into superheroes. And this leads to one of the great visuals of the whole series. Fighting with your operative weapon being a baby with laser eyes.
That's a fucking amazing, Dragon.
That it is. That it is. Armed with using a baby as a weapon.
A baby with freaking lasers for freaking eyes.
Freaking laser eyes.
Freaking baby.
With freaking laser eyes. That's all I want. It's never on QVC when I need it. Anyway, okay, regardless, the point being is it's a great vision. If Carl Urban couldn't get any cooler, I think that we just surpassed it there.
Oh my god, yeah, this is like peak cool Carl Urban. It's like
Hawaiian
Batman
shirt,
riding a reindeer dragon.
Hawaiian shirt, duster, and armed with a baby. Firing laser vision. Okay, anyway, let's see. There's anything major here. So, hey, this is where we get the baby. Again, there's a baby theme in this episode too. Where this is the episode where Homelander is uberly jealous of Madeline's baby, and it's so unsettling that he's jealous of a baby, and it feeds him.
It really is, man. It really is.
That's the moment where, like, oh god, he's gonna do something horrible to that baby. Let's see. So this leads to Starlight, in the midst of all this, she tells the crowd. This is where she comes out about her sexual assault, where she basically tells the folks. She doesn't name the Deep specifically. I don't think she just mentions like she's having doubts about her faith a little bit because of these recent events. You know, she basically was supposed to go with the narrative that she was a virgin, where of course she's now saying that no, like she's basically supposed to preach abstinence, and she's like, no, forget that noise, guys. She's speaking about the truth, which leads to her truth. And of course, the whole like "good for the soul" title comes into play here. Again, this is good for the soul. You know, being true to herself and religion. And by the way, I want to get in there somewhere before we forget about it. There's a Better Call Saul alumni in this season.
Is there?
Yes, Rebecca from Better Call Saul, Ann Cusack. She plays Starlight's mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Well, fun fact. And we have a really nice scene. This is where the writing's just really good with the whole relationship here, where Huey supports her after that, and she calls him like, use me to get tickets and everything here, man. And where he basically tells her about Robin and everything, and they're really on. We don't just have a whole thing, oh man, she's bad at Huey for a few episodes. We can nip that in the bud really well. Let's see. And the female. I'm sorry, I've already went through that. We're all good. Okay, let's move on to episode 6.
Episode 6, The Innocents.
This is the big. We have the Becca backstory told to us, and we learn about Kimiko's past. We learn the female's name and everything, and the Homelander has major issues. That's pretty much the episode in a nutshell. So
also the Deep gets transferred to Sandusky, Ohio, to ride those roller coasters, Dragon.
We see him there next episode, but
I'm sorry, I just like the theme park fanboy in me. You know that I love the fact that we reference Cedar Point as soon as Sandusky comes into play.
Yeah, we do.
Oh man. Anyways,
right. So the Innocents. So let's see. So Huey contemplates moving forward from Robin to Annie, which again, do you buy that?
I do. I think their chemistry is pretty genuine, and it is one of those things where it's like, what are you gonna do? Just wallow in your pity for the rest of your life? It's like at some point you do have to move on.
And again, it's him kind of like this separates him from the Butcher. The Butcher cannot move on, which is why he's so dead set on getting Homelander. Where this episode is all about that too, because all the big scenes are in this episode between him and the Butcher about like why he can't move on, why Huey's contemplating moving. He's trying to caution his friend. I love the dynamic between the two of them too, where I think the Butcher has a legit friendship with Huey. What do you think? I mean, he is kind of using him. I definitely
think so. I mean, the Butcher might think that that Huey is a soft C word. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love the kid.
Yeah, and you have this. I think one of the cutest scenes in the whole season for me is an episode
breaking down the dynamics of the C word.
No, that's great too. What I'm thinking of, like the more innocent scene was in episode 1 where he, because I think they break down the dynamics of the C word in this episode.
I think that's the penultimate episode. I want to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be this one. It's either this one or the next
It
one.
might be this one, yeah.
I think it's this one because they're walking to the meeting when that happens.
Right,
Regardless.
right.
Okay, so what I'm saying is like the whole hey butcher, you ever see an a-hole tear up a check for $45,000? That moment just charmed me so much, and that's where I say you're a good lad, Hugh. It's like that's an adorable moment. I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
And then he
yeah,
comes
for
back to
sure.
save him at the end of that episode. I thought that was so nice. Anywho, point being that dynamic is really in play here. Where basically, as he's contemplating moving on, we have the big scene where it's kind of three scenes if you really want to look at it. You have the scene at the start where he's just kind of contemplating it. We have the scene with them on the park bench,
Uh-huh.
where this park bench is very significant. This is where in the last, I think it was the last episode or 2 episodes ago, episode 4, the butcher was watching the footage of the last time his wife was ever seen, where she's
Right,
on.
right.
She was on presumably the very same park bench for 3 hours, and she left, and she was never seen again. And in the same location, he tells Huey what happened to his wife. And of course, what happened to his wife was that she was raped by Homelander.
Yeah, and of course that really kind of puts everything into perspective there, where it's like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. Why I love the logic of like, like whether she killed herself or Homelander killed her, it doesn't matter. It's same difference. She's dead because of Homelander.
Mm-hmm. And that's why he has such a. That's why he's so dead set on getting the Homelander. Why he's got such an axe to grind with the guy, and why he's
Yeah.
warning against soups do terrible things, especially when they mix in with regular people. And it's why, especially like when soups mix in with sexually with people, it's such a real,
Hmm.
it's a real sticking point with them. And it leads to the collateral damage. Basically, it's the collateral damage survivors meeting.
Hmm.
This is a really chilling scene too, where basically we learn of like the dangers of sloppy heroics, where you have these poor people who are so still grateful to the heroes that damage them so profoundly.
Oh man.
Like they have we have two stories here. We have like the lady who was saved by I think it's Tech Knight or something, and she says I'm grateful that he saved me. I just wish he caught me softer, so he basically didn't break my spine. So like, she's in a wheelchair, I believe. So like her spine was
This is
broken.
essentially the incredible situation, like the incredible status quo thing.
Yeah, the darker version of it, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
And of course, we have the writer Seth. Now, this is funny, Tiggy. I caught this on the rewatch. This guy's been in the show the whole time. He's the guy who's telling the Starlight about designing her costume and everything. He's the writer. He's the writer that's built in the Vought narrative. So this is a guy who's like
Oh yeah,
currently
yeah, right,
like he
right.
still works for that company.
Uh-huh.
Where he'd probably feel like a mixer or something at the company. He met Ice Princess, I believe her name was, and basically in the throes of passion, again similar to Popclaw,
Oh my God,
tragedy.
this
Yeah,
was brutal. Jesus
this is
Christ.
messed up in so many ways, and I love Carl Urban is so good and insensitive in this scene because he's trying to spell out for Huey that this is a bad thing. You're playing with fire here, man. Don't go any further with this. Where this could happen to you. But again, he's like, and of course the home the butcher of it all, of course, with the Homelander of it all, knowing this is like this is why he's really trying to stress that to him. Of like he doesn't speak during this meeting, he doesn't speak during this scene where he's challenged to, and of course we learn this later. Like, oh god, that's why he could have had something in this scene if he wanted to share something.
Mhm.
But again, no, poor Seth just throws a passion, turned to her icy form, and he was essentially became a eunuch, folks. I won't sugarcoat it. It's not good.
Oh man.
I don't mean like the fun Gallivant eunuch. I mean like eunuch in the god.
No, not that not that kind, Dragon. No, not
Now, like, hey
exactly.
Gareth, like take a swing at the eunuch, like not that sort of.
God.
Anywho, let's see. So, Mesmer. We got to talk about Mesmer. One of your guys in this. The Mesmerizer.
Remind me, who is he?
Haley Joel Osment.
Oh my God! Yeah, fuck! I barely even recognize that kid anymore.
One of the Poncio contenders.
And also, how is he one of my guys, Dragon? Exactly how is
You
he?
always
Because of the Kingdom Hearts thing.
I don't know. Every time I bring up Haley Joel Osment, you have great reverence for him. I imagine he was your guy because of that.
I don't. Well, I don't have great reverence for him.
But
I have,
that.
anyways.
Anyway,
Yeah, this was a good story though. This was a good kind of like, it's a man betraying and backstabbing the heroes, but for the right reasons. You know what I mean? And it's like we have to get to this point. We have to get to the point where where Homelander and Vought are onto the boys, but but we get there by way of a pretty likable character.
Yeah, because remember, this guy, one, I love the world building on the Mesmerizer. So the idea here is the Mesmer is the shorthand for him. The idea is that this guy, again, was like Pop Claw, maybe even lower than Pop Claw. Pop Claw was like a movie hero. She's like let's call her a B-lister, where Mesmerizer is a C-lister, where he was a TV hero, where he couldn't cut it in the field, because his gimmick is he's a touch-reliant telepath, where he can read people's minds, but he has to touch them. And basically, they turned him into a Doogie Howser meets Law and Order, where literally the Law and Order font and everything. We saw like a clip of his show where basically he's a young kid, he's a child star who would touch people and be able to read their minds, and that's how they solved the crimes.
The child star in a paranormal style thing is maybe that's I can see that.
That's what I'm saying. And he does conventions and everything, and that's how they find him. And it's genius. And basically, the heart of the character is that he wants to be in his daughter's life again. And basically, they kind of found an arrangement to make that happen in exchange for him helping him out with Kimiko, where they basically get her backstory with him doing his touch thing. And we find out that Kimiko. And this is where we get the big reveal. This is what we get the tool to take down Vought with, like what the Compound V is all building towards. Where, if I'm reading it right, which I believe I am, and I want to say in the sense that she was also a member of this, sorry, let me rephrase that. She was forced into a terrorist army camp. Sorry, she was forced into a terrorist army group at a young age and basically trained to be a soldier. And presumably, this is where I'm inferring here. Presumably, someone captured her unit, the Vought, in some way, shape, or form, captured her unit and injected her with stuff, and they're going to use her as super villains, as they're going to do with other people. That much we know. We know that they're sending the Compound V to enemies to turn them into super villains, so our superheroes have a reason to be instated by the government. So that's the cause. I'm assuming she was a part of that in the grand scheme of things, given she was part of an enemy army at the time. All she wants to do is save her brother and go back home to save her brother, which is why she's trying to go back home in Penn Station, et cetera, in the previous episodes.
Yeah, so basically just gives her a good motivation, a key, like an emotional connection to the group, a reason to protect her, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. I love I want to say for the whole thing, I love all the advertisements and the commercials and everything, just kind of interspersed throughout everything, like Black Noir.
Yes, I almost kind of wish we would have done that a little more.
Like, for example, Black Noir, we had the Seth Rogen. I believe they're parroting Green Hornet, where Seth Rogen played the Green Hornet. In this case, I believe what they're saying is Seth Rogen's going to play Black Noir in the Black Noir Insurrection movie, which is hysterical. God. And of course, we coin a little MCU thing with the VCU.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of which,
that was a little on the nose, but I'll give them a pass.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the big thing we got to talk about, that we had the big they're doing the PR video here, and we have Homelander's manufactured past.
Oh man, that was a chilling scene.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. This is more of that.
And this is also why I'm saying, like, I have more sympathy for Homelander than I do for fucking A-Train.
Oh yeah, where basically he's
Homelander's a monster, but he was a monster who was bred from something. A-Train's just an asshole.
Absolutely. So basically, he's going through this completely manufactured past. Where basically, what if you took like Smallville out of the Superman equation? Like, what if we demystified the Smallville past for our hero? Like, what if we had our homespun Homelander, if you will? We took that and we just took all of that out of the equation. We has to manufacture everything here, and the only thing that's real is a blanket. And of course, like the fact they put that blanket, I just love how chilling it is where he sees that blanket.
Yeah. I love how he freaks out about it.
And again, we revealed like a really quick flash. He was a super baby in a room, and that blanket was the only thing he had closely to a mother's nurture. Nurturing.
Yeah, that was really, really good character development on his part.
That and the occasional scientist like waving at him from the other side of the glass. Like, that's all he had. That's what he was raised with, and he was being reminded what he was robbed of this fantasy upbringing that has to propagate. It's just, it's fascinating. He has to do the mother story too. The biggest thing that is missing, he has to say that his mother made him the perfect baseball diamond cake. It's all God. That's great. That's good stuff. Twisted
all right.
stuff. I think there's. All right, Citizen Starlight, or basically Starlight. Out of all this, she gets spun as like she's the woke.
I like this though. I like this because it's a little bit of a parody of SJW culture while not like directly shaming it in any way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're giving her they're basically playing like I think they're making fun of the CW a little bit. Where like she has the new show on this fall.
Right.
These turn reality shows and the superhero shows being the gimmick. There, it's like here's the new Supergirl. It's gonna be
Well, that's the thing,
Starlight.
Dragon. That's the thing. It's like I got the sense that like some of these shows were reality shows, but other shows like like Haley Joel Osment's show was like a procedural crime show that happened to have a superhero gimmick.
That one's completely shot and manufactured, but this one, yeah, exactly.
So that kind of fascinates me. The whole like, like the weird sliding scale of how real all these shows are.
Importantly, though, I think I might glaze through this. I'm going to address it here. So, Maeve, she went to an ex-flame of hers in the previous episode, and she's basically she acknowledges that she lost touch with her humanity after that plane crash. She was really affected by that plane crash, and most chilling detail about that plane crash I caught in the rewatch. At least I was reminded of on a rewatch. When Homelander and Maeve were on the scene of the crash, when they found everything at the end of that episode, when that happened. They're wearing ribbons of like "Remember the Crash" or something, and like some other episodes, like they're wearing the memorial ribbons.
Oh God,
it's so twisted. It's so not right. And also in this one, we see the Deep's video basically has to film the apology. I love how we see all the botched takes of the apology. We're just not selling it right because he doesn't feel bad at all. It really doesn't, but he will.
Yes, he will.
Yeah, so that's about it. Okay, that brings us to episode 7.
The Self-Preservation Society.
Yes, this is the big Annie learns the truth about everything here, and it's a big penultimate episode.
I got to admit, Dragon, there's a little bit of like third act liar reveal type stuff in this episode that I wasn't really crazy about with the Annie subplot.
I see that, but I think they economized it perfectly. We didn't spend too much time with it. Like we don't,
but it still makes this episode feel a little bit more formulaic than it needed to, I think.
That's a fair point. Maybe maybe you have a point there. Anyway,
but Tiki, you know what isn't formulaic?
I know what isn't formulaic, Tiki?
A man getting raped in the gills.
Oh God, yeah. So this is where we get into the Sandusky, Ohio section here, folks. Where the Deep now that the Deep did not care at all.
Dragon, I'm telling you, if he would have just went to Cedar Point, he would have been all good. It's like you got the world's greatest amusement park right there, man. It would have lightened his mood. It would have cheered him up. He would have found a new lust for life after experiencing the 200-foot fall beyond vertical drop on Steel Vengeance.
So this is where the Deep gets his comeuppance. This is where he begins to get his comeuppance here. Where the Deep is just not being remorseful of his actions. He now will be, and he gets a taste of his own medicine with that Gil thing. Now I don't know. I think the safe assumption is that girl is doing that intentionally to make him suffer. But
I think so. Yeah.
It could just be like an isolated incident that's just like he's just feeling it from the other side of things. But I always felt there's a little bit like revenge malice in there. Like he's getting this for a reason. Otherwise, just it comes across that way.
Sound effects.
Ah, got it. To me, this is the most cringy scene. I can barely watch this.
I think it is too. I think it is. It's probably the most disturbing scene of the whole.
It's not the fact that he has. It's like not the fact that he has something different about his body. It's the fact that he breathes through there. Like that's the thing that creeps me out about. Like
oh yeah, right.
God, that's the thing that creeps me out. It's like in this body. Oh God, I can't even. Anyway,
let's move on. Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. We do the lobster gag though, and basically he's losing all his friends too. He's completely
like I
alone.
said, Dragon. I'm sorry. I think there was a little bit of sexual tension between him and the lobster.
I'm just saying. I'd imagine after that violation, the last thing he'd be thinking of would be that with the lobster. That's my argument for that.
He wants to take his body back, like fucking Jessica in 13 Reasons Why, Dragon.
All right.
Because if 13 Reasons Why taught us anything, it's that rape victims should just have a lot of sex.
I think you're waiting for letters when you phrase something like that. That's what I think. Okay, anyway, getting back on point. Regardless, like he's on the sidelines in the worst way.
Thank God we don't actually have an audience.
Well, don't say it. We have Donovan there. Donovan's.
I mean, thousands of people who could potentially dig up problematic tweets. That's
Right,
what I
a
mean.
wide audience. Gotcha.
We love Donovan.
Yes, we have good fans.
We do. No, legitimately, we have awesome fans. They're
That
just
we do.
we have awesome fans who don't care if I get a little un-PC now and again because it's the truth about 13 Reasons Why. Anyways,
Anywho, so let's see. Just to scale back a little bit. Basically, T, do you remind me? Ohio. It's gonna be a dumb. I'm gonna feel embarrassed to any people who do geography for a living here.
okay.
Is there a lot of water by Ohio?
It's one of the Great Lakes states, so I've never been there, but I assume there would be, and especially Sandusky. Like I said, go to fucking Cedar Point. Sandusky's a small town, so Cedar Point takes up a lot of it. Um, there is a Great Lake like right there.
Okay, good to know. Anyway, so the point is, I was thinking it'd be even more sad if he was landlocked somewhere. That'd be terrible. But no, he's not. Okay, that's good. Point is, he's on the sidelines waiting for legit action to happen.
He goes to like Phoenix, Arizona, or something like that.
He's being made to wait while he's just kind of like the waiting is the true punishment for him. He's just waiting and being more useless than he already was in his own eyes.
His punishment should be to wait in the 4-hour long lines for the 200-foot tall vertical drop on steel benches.
All right, rein it in, rein it in.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about the
I'm
Christmas
sorry.
party. So we have the chilling Christmas party flashback to the Butcher and Becca meeting Homelander.
Yes, just kind of like one of those. It's always chilling in retrospect when you look back on these things, Dragon, where it's like, man, I just met the man who's going to ruin my fucking life.
Yep, and she's introducing him to Homelander. It's oh god. And of course, we build up we have one past interaction up to the kind of reunion in the next episodes. It's really great how we built it up the whole season.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. Huey ignores the Butcher's warning and he gets remarkably close to Annie. Even sees her eyes go bright.
Yes.
Which again is kind of they get a little bit of positive there. Where okay, something horrible didn't happen in the throes of passion, so good for Huey. Let's see. Okay, so Homelander, he's okay. This is a big Homelander episode. So Homelander takes control by telling the Seven about the boys and basically kind of like as Annie, like the high of highs with Annie, she wants to meet Huey's dad and everything. Annie then learns that Huey's been spying on her. This is where we begin some of the lie reveal territory. And again, you feel so bad for the girl, don't you? Where now she's been chastised by Homelander and the whole group, and now she's being targeted.
It is definitely like a low of lows moment for sure.
Absolutely. And this course leads now that the whole group's in the know. This leads to A Train. Again, I love one of the great ideas is that A Train is such a prick that he couldn't simply remember. He meets Huey twice in the show, and obviously, if he were actually thinking, he'd be able to put something together. There, oh wait, something's fishy here, but he didn't. Met him twice, and 3 times if you want to be technical. But the first time was he runs through the girlfriend, doesn't remember him then. Anyway, so he finally says, "Wait a minute, I know that guy," and he's such a prick. And this leads to A Train doing more horrible stuff where he holds Huey's dad hostage. Like, no, not Simon Pegg, not the Peg,
not Ungar Platt.
not the Peg.
God.
Anyway, so of course we see him being an addict and an a-hole here, which is being really like, oh, I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm gonna basically not that you're gonna survive this. He's oh man, A-Train's just such a monster. And this is a big like I know they tell me you felt some satisfaction from this moment here, where basically it was such a fulfilling moment for me, where A-Train, knowing how much he judges himself by his ability to perform and be fast and be like the speedster, the fastest man. This was so well earned, where we reveal that Huey has a trap laid for A-Train with the female, with Kimiko, where basically he's injected her with Compound V, and he just surprise attack and breaks A-Train's leg really badly too. He's like breaks it out, sticking out. I'm like complete snap out of the thing. It's like nasty, and it's so well deserved. Like, take that, A-Train.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Of course, Atrian's just trying to take the moral high ground, the argument too, leading up to that, saying, "Oh, well, it wasn't. I didn't do it intentionally. You did all this intentionally. What I did was an accident." He's completely unapologetic about the accident too. But
It's like, dude, just like if you would have just like apologized in the first place, if you would have just like had a reaction to the situation in the moment, then none of this would be happening.
The saddest thing is that he won't even fess up to killing Popclaw. He keeps putting it on Huey, saying, "You killed my girlfriend. I didn't kill your girlfriend."
Right. Popclaw is just like totally just like, he's completely thrown her under the bus.
Absolutely. I guess so the other thing, we have a Gotham alumni in this episode, John Dahman, Carmine Falcone. He's in
Okay.
it. He plays Dr. Vogelbaum, essentially Homelander's dad. He's the mad scientist that created him.
Right. Yeah.
So John Dahman is great in everything he's in, man. John Dahman rocks. And I just love this scene where basically he informs Homelander. Homelander finds out that he goes to Vogelbaum and he finds out that basically, he looked into the butcher and as to what happened here, and he looks into Becca and basically remembers they raped Becca, and essentially through some source he learns that he impregnated her from Dahman. As he looks into like what the deal was here, that Vogelbaum knows something, he impregnated her, and this is like a super fetus, which is a problem that he had to deal with. And what happened was just that we see, and this was the smartest move the series made as a whole, where we saw this. So I had no suspicion what episode 8 was going to reveal. Did you?
I really did not at all.
Because again, we saw this happen. Again, it's a kind of an unreliable narrator of it all, where a guy's lying,
Exactly.
but we see it unfold here. Basically, we see the horrific kind of miscarriage unfold before our eyes here with a super baby within a human woman. And then we have this really great Dahman speech here, where he says, why are you apologizing? I'm the world's greatest superhero." And Dahman says, "You're my greatest failure." And it's just, oh god, it's so great. And basically, it's the Jurassic World thing, where the idea is like he never had like an upbringing or a normal upbringing or childhood, or had no like mother, at the very least, no mother to imprint on. Therefore, that's why he's so screwed up the way he is. At least was my read on it. Let's see, and that's the last part of this one that leads into the last episode. Is Raynor goes after Madeline and Vought because now she has what she needs thanks to the butcher. And the butcher, they put the family in the essentially witness protection and everything. The point is the family's safe; they're taken care of. They're all good. And in exchange for Butcher having to give up his pursuit of Homelander, and basically she has what she needs. She's about to kind of slap the cuffs on Madeline. However, what happens is they're too late. Supervillains have been created in Nquibia, I think his name is. Point is a guy who can blow himself up, and we see the footage from the soldiers in the Pentagon or someplace, and basically it's we see the footage. Guy blows up, and Huey clues Starlight into what's going on. Because Don wants us to talk about this. Huey gives Starlight the information that she needs, where we kind of subvert the whole liar reveal of it all. Where she's about to take him in, and he reveals that, hey, you were groomed to be a superhero at birth. Basically, you're not so special. That's a big reveal, and hit with a beanbag knocked on her butt to think about things for a while.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to the finale.
Okay, let's see. Episode 8. You Found Me.
Oh, this is a great one. Oh boy. I mean, the title alone, I love the title and the payoff of the title, but we'll get to
It's really good. Like I said, I think maybe I'm not as in love with it as you are because unlike something like Barry or Kitty, and maybe it's not fair to compare this show to those shows, but I feel like those shows leave their seasons off with like cliffhangers but still satisfying arcs. And this show just felt like I didn't really feel like anything really wrapped up with this episode. It was a good episode for sure. I just I still left wanting more resolution than we got. I guess that's kind of like my one major reservation about this whole season, honestly.
All right.
And I can't even put my finger on what I want exactly, but I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest to you, that's the thing, because I mean, we know there's going to be more, and they knew there's going to be more, so it's just kind of like it's incomplete.
Here's the thing. I want more of a concrete closing to the arc of season 1 than we get. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. Does that make sense at all?
I mean, let me put it this way. I hear what you're saying, Tiki, but I would raise you the point that given the ending of the show of this season, again, it's all about the maternal theme of the Homelander story. Therefore, you do have an ending. That's what I'd argue.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
That's
Okay.
just me. I mean, you might. Like, I see your point, but that's how I feel. But anyway, so point. Speaking of Homelander, so we starts off. We see what Homelander in the military looks like, where he's now sanctioned to be in the military. Vought got what they wanted this season, being the operative point. The government has a superhero, and basically they cover their tracks. Where this really chilling scene, where politically chilling scene. So not really chilling, but it's like, oh man, the implications. Where Madeline basically sits down and says, like, yeah, Compound V got into the enemy's hands. What can I tell you? But we have to keep it quiet, which means Vought is now an asset, which means they get everything they want consequence free, which means everything are the boys have been working towards this whole time. They're out of luck, which is not good. And now the boys are free range. They're free targets now.
Yeah.
Which is not good. We do meet Mallory. Now, we talked up this Mallory character, and we had a really sad payoff here. Where Mallory, essentially, she was the founder of the boys back in the day. She founded the original team, and she was like promising. She was promising Butcher
I love that mythology to the boys. I love how it goes back so far, and I wish we would have explored more of that. And again, Dragon, like you said with the original concept of the boys, I wish we would have fucking called them the boys more than we do in this show.
Yeah, it is ridiculous when you really think about it. It just keeps popping up like a reminder, like, yeah, the boys. Again, if I didn't know, like, who are the boys, and before there's more of them, before you. Anywho, so point with Mallory, we find out that she promised the Butcher that they would get Homelander. She's the one who told him about the rape and everything, basically showed him the footage and everything about what happened. And we learned that the reason she retired, the reason she got out of the game, the reason that she couldn't fulfill her promise to the Butcher is that Lamplighter. Points Vought through Lamplighter incinerated her grandchildren.
Mm.
That's why that might be why Lamplighter's not around anymore. I don't know. We don't know that story. Maybe we'll find out in the next one. He retired, but Lamplighter, he did some horrible stuff.
Mm.
So, point being, Mallory's out. She gives him a lead as to where basically we learn that Homelander has a very special, creepy relationship with Madeline.
And of course, that gives an in. That gives a weakness, and I love the Butcher's philosophy about weakness. It's such a great kind of Batman style philosophy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So let's see. So A-Train, we have that scene with A-Train on crutches, where he's just being profiled in the store, and it's like he gets a taste of normalcy and what it's like, and just not being up of his game, and this kind of motivates him to double down on the steroid. Essentially, it's like, oh god, A-Train's he's just sad and pathetic now, and he deserves it. His brother's chastising him for getting back on the substance and everything. He's like, yeah, his brother is absolutely right, A-Train, man. Like, I don't know if it's just like, maybe unfairly charged towards A-Train. I don't know, but he did a lot of horrible stuff.
I mean, he did kill the main character's love, so there's that.
That is true. So basically, the Butcher and Huey they part ways here. They split up because Huey wants to save his friends, save the day. Butcher. This is where we get the battle of ideologies here, and this is, I think, what season 2 is going to get into. Like, these two have kind of fractured their relationship. They've gone on different paths. I think season 2 is going to be about them being re-entwined in each other's lives.
I can see that. Yeah.
Basically, he's going after Stillwell to pursue his Homelander thing, and that's where it is. Where again, it's always one more step closer to Homelander. It's a never-ending war that he'll never get satisfaction from revenge. Where Huey's going to move past revenge and embracing the friendships and kind of like the future. Where it's kind of what Robin would probably want him to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the philosophy that Butcher is going to keep the A-Train promise. That's really great. Yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, hey, Breaking Bad alumni's in this one, Tiki.
Yes.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh yeah, right. Of course, in a very brief role, but yeah, he does pop up. I had to double check really quick. I was like, wait a minute, that must be who I think it is, right? Yeah, indeed it is.
Oh. And I think there's a tongue-in-cheek Breaking Bad reference in this too, where where Giancarlo, he basically plays Stillwell's boss, Stan Egger, and basically saying, like, hey, you're going to get a promotion, and basically I'll be on the way out in a few years, and then you'll be in the job fully. And it says, well, when I go to Belize.
Oh man, that's gotta be this show. Honestly, if it was a different show, then I wouldn't believe it. But this show is so tongue in cheek and on the nose with everything it does that that's gotta be a reference. That's
Oh,
about
yeah.
as subtle of a reference as the fucking sheep in Zootopia being named Walter and Jesse.
Yep. Oh, God. All right, let's see. So Maeve, she gives Starlight a cautionary tale, like, you don't compromise yourself. Be the hero I wasn't. And you have this really great payoff where, like, in her book, that was she assumed was mostly PR written. We learned that she did actually break all the bones in her arm, saving a bus, catching a bus one time, which is really nice. It's good.
And
Maeve's
it
in a
also,
good place.
again, it speaks to the realism of, like, we saw that same scenario go down with Shazam, and it was mostly played as like a nice joke, like a nice fun, light-hearted action set piece. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. All right, let's see. I'm just thinking of Shazam. It's really funny.
It
Anyway,
is really funny.
all right,
I'm
let's see.
over here. I can't hear you. We're really high up in the wind and the altitude. Anyways.
God. Sorry. So
Sorry,
Huey.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you laugh. Go ahead.
All right, so let's see. So Huey, Huey goes to rescue the gang. Here we have that retainer gag where basically he has like kind of the key to, like, getting them out of there within the retainer, but unfortunately they can't get it out, so the Mother's Milk has to punch him just to get it out there. It's pretty funny. Let's see. So we have the I love basically we have the action set piece here. We have like the I'm sorry gunfight, which is really funny. Where basically I believe Frenchie gets shot
Oh,
and
that was
he.
great. That was great. You know what that reminded me of, Dragon?
What did it remind you of?
Fucking James McAvoy in Wanted. I'm sorry.
Basically, it's Huey just cowering behind the thing, just
I
shooting
love
like
that.
a madman.
I love like unconventional action stuff like that.
It is pretty great. This leads to the big A Train showdown, where basically Starlight comes in for the rescue. Again, she comes around, she sees that Huey was in the right. That basically she and Huey are the only ones actually the heroes of the show, really, at the end of the day.
No.
And she battles A Train here, and basically kind of tires him out for a while here. Basically, before A Train really does anything, and basically the idea is he's so desperate on to heal his leg so fast and to kind of jazz him up for the big showdown here. He can't. Basically, he literally can't outrun his addiction, which leads to a heart attack. And we have this beautiful moment here where Huey saves his enemy, a real heroic moment here where he saves his enemy despite hating him, despite the fact he's going to backfire and everything. It's a really nice moment there. Again, that's the big difference between Huey and the Butcher right there. He saved the enemy.
Definitely shows his humanity for sure.
Let's see. On the flip side, we have the other big showdown, the other big standoff.
Oh,
Homelander.
Man, this was great.
Homelander and the Butcher is the big standoff here. Where
this is some Tarantino shit right here.
Oh yeah. So Homelander has been losing trust in Madeline. If you really look on the rewatch, I saw this, Teague. On the rewatch, Homelander, when he's laying in her lap, as he tends to do in that really weird maternal thing where he's basically in kind of the breastfeeding pose. It's really weird.
It makes me so uncomfortable.
He when he's doing that on the last, and I think it was earlier in this episode when he was doing that, and they basically said, like, no more secrets after he confronted her about the whole baby thing. She basically says the same story, and the idea is like kind of Daredevil style. He hears her heartbeat, he knows that she's lying. In that scene, that's why he kind of gets all tense up in that scene. So what he reveals that he went to a Vogel and basically squeezed the truth out of him, which sounds horrifying, by the way. Poor John Doman. And got the truth from him and learns basically he has this is where he goes full on villain in the episode. Before it was like always just like morally horrible, like, oh god, he's doing such villainous things, but now he like turns on full supervillain where he knows something our hero doesn't, or our quote unquote anti-hero doesn't.
Yeah.
So we have the big showdown reunion between him and the Butcher, and basically it's two men who eventually learn the same revelation. He has this juicy upper hand. Says, "What's your plan here? Huh? You're going after her because I care about her, right?" And he's holding the baby during the scene. Do you think, oh god, he's gonna kill the baby? Oh god.
Oh my god, that was honestly, that was like the most suspenseful part of maybe the whole season, especially because Madeline is just like so desperately just like, please bring the baby upstairs. Dragon, every time she said bring the baby upstairs, I was like more and more sure that something bad was going to happen to the baby. Did you get that effect?
Yep, me too. Yeah, I thought someone was. And again, this is the same episode. You know, the earlier scene in this episode during that party scene after the John Carlos scene. She sleeps with Homelander. Well, I shouldn't say. So I think she and Homelander kind of get it on, so to speak.
Oh
And
boy.
she's doing that
Wow.
she's doing that completely out of fear and she's trying to show gratitude towards him, but also it's completely out of fear that she's trying to placate this really unruly child. And it's oh
Uh,
god, it's twisted and horrifying that we have this end payoff here. Where again, these two do have legit. It's basically looking into it's kind of making fun of the Snyder thing, where it's like Superman is very reliant on Lois Lane being his connection to the plan. So what if we went the full Snyder route here? Where if anything happens to Lois Lane, I don't know what's going to happen. We're okay. What if Superman was the one to take her out? Where basically Homelander here is losing trust in her. He lasers her to death in the eyes, which is just oh god, it's so horrible. And again, the idea. So now he's taken the Butcher's power of the scene out here, where now he's strapped all these bombs to her chest. He's going to take the two of them out. And he knows it wasn't going to kill Homelander, but it would have made him suffer like the way he was made to suffer, and would have ended himself. But Homelander has other plans in mind, Tegan. You remember this much, right? You remember how things end, right?
yes, I do, but you might want to take them through it because you're probably fresher on it than I am.
Fair enough. So, folks, the ending. Oh, goodness, the ending. So, basically, everything goes white. You think, oh, God, the Butcher's dead. And we see like this grassy saying, like, okay, either he's in heaven, which I can find a little doubtful given the stuff that he's done. But I don't know. I'm not the judge on that sort of thing. I don't know. We saw what happened.
Maybe
We had like,
hell is just filled with grassy knolls, Dragon. Maybe we've just been lied to this whole time.
it's entirely possible. Anyway, so we have that, and then we reveal, okay, he's in suburbia. It's kind of a happy medium. He's in suburbia, and in suburbia, we reveal like Homelander saved him at the last second, took him all the way to suburbia by the time he woke up, which is just amazing too. Just thinking how fast that was. And we have the mind-blowing reveal as we have this really loungy music playing as we reveal it's a fate worse than death for him, and he really wants to make the Butcher suffer here as he reveals that Becca is indeed alive, and that rape produced the child. And 8 years ago, that rape produced the child, and that reveals that Homelander has an 8-year-old son.
Oh boy. Dun
And
dun dun.
And poor Butcher has to bear witness to this.
Yes.
And Homelander goes to him, and you see the kid with the heat vision and everything is looking at him and just saying, like, hey, we're going to be a family. I'm your dad. We're going to be a family. Oh, God, it's horrifying. They showed a clip for they showed a little clip for season 2, and it involved basically recap this scene, but also showed a little bit of Homelander's backstory, like basically this horrible thing where Homelander would be taught about humanity, and he would be he asked if he had a mother, and the teacher was a lady, and this lady essentially he asked, "Are you my mother?" She says, "I can be your mother." Yes, because she's supposed to be agreeable to the kid. And he hugs her. He hugs her in a sweet manner, but then he squeezes so hard, and it breaks her spine, kills her.
Oh man!
And again, that's the teaser for season 2.
Right. God.
So, oh god, I can't. It's points like Homelander's gonna be facing fatherhood next season, knowing how screwed up he is and how much he hates babies. I can only imagine what's gonna happen. I can only imagine how screwed up season 2 is going to be. Oh boy, but that's the end. So again, we kind of fill out the whole like Homelander having issues in his childhood to him becoming a father, and of course the Butcher. Basically, our two of our leads here with Butcher and Homelander are very much parallel in that they both have gotten exactly what they wanted. But now it's like this weirdly new blown up status quo we're going into with season 2. Kind of a kidding ending almost. We're basically have like the big okay, now the real story is going to take place.
All
right.
All right. So final thoughts on my end, Dragon. This is it's an imperfect season, I think, but it definitely shows a lot of potential. It's got some really good performances, kind of anchored by Carl Urban and kind of like the main sort of like marquee role, if you will. But all the others kind of like spread out, definitely do their due as well. stylistically, it's very on point. I really like the melding of the TV shows and the reality TV clips and everything with the narrative. I honestly wish we would have done that a little bit more. Like I said, my only problem is that it feels like it's a little open ended, but we are getting season 2, so I don't know why I'm sticking on that so much. I really shouldn't be. And yeah, that's about it on my end. Dragon, good stuff. I enjoyed it. Maybe not my maybe not my favorite TV show I've watched in 2019, but still a fun ride nonetheless.
Yeah, final thoughts from me. Keep it simple. It's dark yet artful. It's it's a very well conceived story for sure. I mean, really well, just kind of like well told and everything. It's not my go to take on heroes for sure. It's a little cynical for my take personally, but I can't ignore that it's very solid. It's very well constructed, very well told. And again, the Homelander as a character, the performances are very strong. Yeah, we kind of talked about all the glowing qualities. I mean, for me, the only hesitation I have with the success of the boys again is that I hope that here's the thing. We've done everything under the sun, especially in a post-Endgame world. We've done everything under the sun with superheroes. There's only so much more we can do. Like, short of the Fantastic Four, that's about as much as we can really do. Getting them right, I mean. Like seeing a giant purple man, seeing a giant Galactus actually fully realized. It's kind of like one of the last tricks we have left. What I'm getting at
You will
is,
believe in a giant purple man.
and that's what I'm saying, like that and the successful Justice League movie are kind of the last hat tricks we have going on here,
Right,
And,
right.
and at the end of the day, it's the fact that like outside of that, many people wanted to shake up the superhero movie. Kind of did a few years back with Deadpool and Logan and so on and so forth. And this is the kind of thing that we need in that vein. I just hope that smartly we're not going to just duplicate the let's do the gritty, cynical superhero. I don't want to do that just because it succeeded with the boys. That's my fear. People are going to go more towards the cynical. Where yes, we need things to shake things up. I just want to appreciate this for what it is, which is a good idea, and I don't want it to become the new standard. It's kind of the only kind of last thing I want to say with the boys, I guess. But again, solid show. I can't wait for season 2 because again, it's a really ingenious concept. Whether it's my taste or not, I do really appreciate it.
All right. Well, I guess yeah, that's it for it now. Special thanks to Donovan Martin for joining us for the whole runtime of this almost 2 hours of conversation. Thank you, John. Thank you, Donovan. Yeah, let's see. And any other? Oh, well, I guess the next big TV show on the horizon, Sir Dragon, of course. And we may or may not want to cover this on a week-to-week basis. It kind of depends on where we're at, like in terms of technology at the time and in terms of availability. But we may want to cover kidding. Like kidding is definitely that's something that we're really looking forward to. Remind me when that comes on again, Dragon.
Kidding is November. I want to say November 3rd. It's one of the first
Okay,
weeks.
so
of
we still
November,
got a little ways to go for kidding, but we'll definitely be on that. All right. Any other TV stuff coming up between now and then that we're going to
Well, I
cover,
mean,
Dragon?
probably Dark Crystal Age of Resistance for us.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah, Dark Crystal for sure.
Ideally by the end of the month, but I won't make any concrete promises.
I'd say ideally by the end of the month. It's just not going to be before my trip.
There, at least we'll cover in some way, shape, or form by the month's end. Whether we're going to be able to do the full thing, we'll see. Hopefully, yes.
I don't think we'll be able to do like an episode by episode.
No. I mean like a baseball.
We'll be able to do a spoiler cast on it for sure.
Well, that's what I mean. At the very, I know it's going to make memoirs. What I'm saying is, hopefully, it'll make hopefully.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to crack a spoiler cast out.
All
right. Okay, so thanks for watching, folks, and be sure to get in line for that 200-foot beyond vertical drop at Cedar Point, y'all.